Today, we're talking about Kevin McCarthy becoming the first Speaker of the House in US history to be ousted from the role, Kanye West throwing out allegations about Cardi B being an industry plant, the parents of Ethan Crumble, the teenager responsible for the Oxford high school shootings, are set to stand trial for the actions of their son, and more, all in today's episode of The Insight Hour. What's up, gals and pals? Hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday. I'm just counting down the days until Saturday. Gonna go to the LA hayrides this time. Honestly, I've already spent a few $100s on all this Halloween stuff. I've got a problem. But not as big of a problem as Kevin McCarthy. Alice, pull up his file first.
Kevin McCarthy, the Republican Speaker of the House, has been ousted from his position. This makes McCarthy the first Speaker in history to be removed from office. Patrick McHenry, a close ally of McCarthy, has been named the temporary Speaker.
So McCarthy got the boot in less than 9 months, huh? That's shorter than a season of Game of Thrones, which funny enough crashed and burned pretty much in the same fashion. Now, the resolution was led by Representative Matt Gaetz, who's no stranger to controversy himself, and passed with the support of 8 Republicans and all the Democrats present for the vote. Anyways, now the first order of business is to elect a new Speaker. Some Republicans are still attached to McCarthy and want to renominate him, but he has since claimed he will not run for nomination, leaving things more or less a free-for-all. Names like Majority Steve Scalise and Whip Tom Emmer are being thrown around as potential successors. Even Representative Jim Jordan, the darling of the far right, is in the mix. Whoever decides to run will have to make a deal with somebody though. Either they follow in McCarthy's footsteps and make deals with members like Gaetz again, which could ultimately bite them in the ass just like it did McCarthy, or they try to broker a deal with the Democrats and come under fire from the Republican colleagues like McCarthy did, and then he lost his job. Quite the conundrum the leaders of our country have found themselves in. Seems like this partisan style of politics isn't really working out too well for us. Makes you wonder about the stability of the House and how long we can keep this whole your team versus my team thing up, because unless we can get a hold of things, we're gonna keep surrendering disproportionate amounts of power to fringe groups, both on the Democrat and Republican sides. I feel like we sort of set the stage for partisan removals to now become the new normal. I mean, impeachment's already starting down that road, so why not? That was sarcasm, by the way.
Our next story takes us into the world of entertainment. Cardi B has responded to recently leaked footage from a 2018 documentary where Kanye West claimed that she is a product of a music industry conspiracy. Kanye alleged that Cardi B was put in place to replace Nicki Minaj and that she doesn't write her own raps.
So Kanye has called Cardi B a plant of the Illuminati, which, hey, I guess the Illuminati's diversifying their portfolio. So big win for progressivism. So stupid. Also, it's nice to see that they're shifting their focus from world domination to rap music, which I guess sort of controls pop culture, so adds up. Oh, and let's not forget, he's also seemingly implied that Kris Jenner's boyfriend, Corey Gamble, is a CIA operative. And as we all know, Kanye is a reliable source of information, so we should definitely believe him right now. But let's talk about Cardi's clapback. She didn't go on a Twitter rant or drop a diss track. She simply tweeted a clip of Kanye praising her from last year and then later deleted it. It's a pretty good mic drop, not gonna lie. Notably, among all this celeb drama is the timing. Turns out Cardi's got her next album coming out sometime in 2024, and Kanye has reportedly had something in the works now for months. So is this whole thing one big coordinated PR stunt, or is Kanye just being Kanye? Let me know what you think in the comments.
Our next story involves allegations against a Metropolitan Police officer in the UK. Suspended PC Rupert Edwards is accused of assaulting 2 women within 11 days after meeting them in bars while off duty. Edwards denies the allegations, stating that all sexual activities were consensual.
Okay, so 30-year-old Rupert Edwards allegedly committed the first attack in Epsom on August 26. Edwards met the woman on a night out, they danced, kissed at the bar, and then shared a cab back to her place where they had consensual relations. But later, Edwards allegedly forced himself on the first complainant again, despite her stating she didn't want to do it. The second, and I'm going to say this word a lot, alleged attack was on September 5th in Lambeth. Same deal, met the woman out, went back to her place, fooled around consensually. But then later as she slept, Edwards took it upon himself to engage her sexually, ignoring her rule about no sex without a condom. When confronted, Edwards denied everything, of course. But the evidence was strong enough that he got arrested and charged with both crimes. He since has been suspended and currently on trial. Now folks, this is one of those why we've got to be careful who we trust situations, even when they're wearing a uniform and a badge. Just because someone's a cop doesn't mean they can't be a scumbag too. Look, we all know that cops can be good people trying to protect us, but guys like this Rupert Edwards character make it harder for women to trust the police. And men in general. I mean, think about it. This is someone who's supposed to help ladies in trouble. but instead, he allegedly attacks them. So what's a woman supposed to think? That she really can't rely on the system meant to defend her? And fellas, we've got to realize this damages all of our credibility too. Makes women feel like they've got to be suspicious of any man, even if he seems like a good guy. It's really not too different from what's happened with the cops in the black community. So what's the solution? Fire the bad apples, better training, stronger oversight, you know, the usual song and dance. But has that gotten us anywhere? You tell me.
The parents of Ethan Crumble, the teenager responsible for the tragic Oxford High School shooting in Michigan, are set to face trial for involuntary manslaughter. This case is unique as it attempts to hold parents accountable for their child's actions. The Michigan Supreme Court has denied the parents' appeal, paving the way for the trial. The prosecution argues that the parents made a gun accessible to their son and ignored his mental health needs. The defense, however, insists that the school shooting was not foreseeable.
So, James and Jennifer Crumbley bought their son Ethan a 9mm Sig Sauer SP 2022 semi-automatic pistol. Even had themselves a Mommy and Sunday testing out their new Christmas present. I mean, family board games are fun too. Now, some red flags were raised when the school noticed Ethan searching for ammunition online and even found a disturbing note he had written. They alerted the parents, but were unsuccessful in getting a response. It would later come to light that Jennifer Crumbley had gotten the school's message and texted her son, "LOL, I'm not mad at you. You have to learn to not get caught." Which is just some top tier parenting, don't you think? Just like, mwah, beautiful. Now, let's talk about the precedent this case is setting, though. I mean, parents are being held accountable for their kids' actions in one of these school shootings. That's pretty new territory, and I think it's about time we explored it. I mean, we're talking about a legal precedent that could change the way we're looking at school shootings altogether. Up until now, the focus has mostly been on the shooter and occasionally the system, like the schools, law enforcement, and mental health services. But this case might be where parents no longer get off the hook. Imagine a world where parents now have to think twice before casually buying their kid a firearm, especially when there's some red flags that their kid might not need one. This could be a game changer in preventing similar tragedies. I mean, if you bought your kid a weapon and ignored the red flags, you're part of the problem, so accountability should be assigned as such. Now, if the Crumbleys are found guilty, this could open the floodgates for similar cases. Parents across the country might have to start lawyering up if their negligence leads to horrific acts by their children. Jesus Christ, that was so hard. And you know what? Maybe that's not such a bad thing. But let's not get carried away. There's a flip side to this coin. In theory, it could lead to a sort of parental policing, where families are scrutinized a bit too closely. So where do we draw the line in holding someone accountable and invading their personal lives? What's your take? Is this a step in the right direction? Or are we opening Pandora's box with this one?
Our final story takes us back to the beautiful island of Maui, Hawaii, which is grappling with a complex issue. Just 2 months after devastating wildfires, the government has decided to reopen the western region of the island to tourism. This decision has sparked outrage among local residents, many of whom are still recovering from the fires that killed 97 people and displaced thousands. Despite an online petition with over 10,000 signatures asking to delay the reopening, officials are moving forward with a phased approach, starting with the Ritz-Carlton in Kapalua.
From school shooters to wildfires and tourism, that's how we roll here at the Insight Hour.
Transform and roll out!
Anyways, here's the deal. As we all know, Maui's been through hell and back with these wildfires, and now the government wants to open back up while the locals are still picking up the pieces. For them, they've lost homes, family, and a sense of normalcy, and so far the government's disaster response has been less than stellar. FEMA offered a one-time payment of $700 in temporary housing, but that's obviously not enough money. That's barely enough to cover my half of rent, so I'm not really sure how it's supposed to help rebuild an entire life. Look, I get it. Tourism is the lifeblood of Hawaii's economy, but there's a fine line between economic recovery and exploitation. The government says reopening will support Maui's economy and keep the people employed. But at what cost? You've got locals saying they can't even grieve properly, and now they have to serve Mai Tais to tourists. Also, the influx of tourists could strain local resources, from food supplies to emergency services. But tourism could inject the much needed funds for the local economy, helping businesses and workers get back on their feet. What do you think the correct answer here is? Should the government move to reopen tourism despite local objections? Or should more aid be available to the Maui natives that isn't tied to serving those who have money? Let me know. And on that note, I think we're going to wrap it up there for today. If you're not already, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and help us get our little channel one step closer to YouTube partner. But until next time, stay weird, stay safe, and I will see you on Friday.